me tell you a quick story. I told you last week about my dad being in construction and my brothers and I working for him. Anybody remember that? All right, good. Well, this one person does. Check this out. We were working on this one site, and we had 4 or 5 projects going on, and my dad left all 4 of us brothers there to get this task completed. And he told us what we needed to do. We were laying the wood deck across the first level of this house. And anybody who knows construction, it was tongue and groove plywood, all right, really thick wood like this, and it had one side has a tongue, one side has a groove, and you have to push it together. And we would put glue on the rafters, and then we would slide this wood together, and you had to do it really hard. And so my dad leaves, and we're like, we're going to prove to him that we are bad, that we can do this, and we're going to get this whole thing done by lunch when he comes back. And so we are just hustling, running this wood across, and one of us is putting glue down, and we're throwing the boards. And I was the one that took the board and shoved the tongue into the groove, all right? And then one person on the other side, which was my next youngest brother, had to stand on the groove to make it to where it lined up and it would go in easy. Are you following with me? All right? So I would take this board and I would shove it hard as I could and slide it into that thing, and then we would slam it down, and we would run back at the next one and then shove it in. Well, this one wasn't going in, and my brother Josh was standing on the side, and I was like, why aren't you holding it to where it's going in? And he's like, I'm trying. And I was like, little brother or whatever. And so he's standing there, he can't do it, so he reaches down about the time that I'm sliding this board back. And he reaches down, he puts his finger right in the groove of this deal. And I slammed that thing as hard as I could. Wham! And I watched his finger, the whole tip edge comes sliding right off. Shoot! And so he pulls his hand out, and all I see is bloody, white, nasty, inside guts.
All right, we get it.
Sorry, Lynn, it was awesome, right? It was really cool. And I was like, oh no! So I pulled the thing back, and his fingernail, all curved and everything, just like it was on his finger, was stuck in the glue on the top of the deal. So I'm like, well, just put it back in, put it back in. And so he grabs it, and he's bleeding everywhere, and he shoves it in the white part into his finger, and he's like, I don't think it's going to stay. I'm like, it'll stay, just push it back in. Just push it back. We got to get this done, right? And it's bleeding like profusely everywhere, and you can see it's just like not going to stay on there. I'm like, you are such a loser. Now we're not going to get this done, and Dad's going to be mad at us. Anyway, so he shoves it back in, and then he starts to get woozy, like he was on adrenaline there for a little bit, but then all the blood, and he's kind of weak or whatever, so he was like, it hurts really bad. So we didn't know if I had chopped his finger off or whatever, if it was just the fingernail or whatnot. But so anyway, here's what happened. We're all freaking out. We're like, oh man, we're not going to get it done. We're not going to get it done. So what do we do? What do you think we do?
Duct tape.
No, that's a good idea.
Super glue.
What would you do in this situation?
Call Dad.
Call Dad, man, that's right. So we're standing there, and in the worst case possible, we're like, I'm going to call Dad. Hey, I just ripped Josh's finger off. You need to come back. He comes back, and here's what happens. We just turn it over to him. Be like, hey, Dad, this is what happened. He comes back, and it's like the calm. We're all expecting him to come in screaming, mad, and yelling. And he walks in onto the site, and he knew we needed to get this done. And then all of this trouble and all of this stuff going everywhere. And we were just like, what are we going to do? And Josh was crying like a little girl. And like, Dad, what do we do? And he's like this. You guys do this. You guys do this. He brought a couple more guys. You guys handle this, and I'm going to take Josh to this. And all of the chaos and all of the freaking out and all of the oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Turned from freak zone to this calm, okay, let's just go back to work. Let's do this. Let's get it done. And I tell you that to tell you this. When we look at this lesson like this and we're talking about depending on Christ, a lot of times we pull it in our own and we try and rush and we shove in the boards and we're throwing stuff around and we're going after it, do all that we got, and we're trying to handle all of the hurt and we're trying to handle the good stuff and the bad stuff, and our life seems so chaos and crazy. But you get God, who we can depend on, who can heal our hurt, who can help us through struggles and help us through the good times and the bad times, and give us this peace and this calm. And I want you to understand tonight, no matter what's going on in your life, you can depend on Christ to help you through whatever pain, whatever hurt, whatever struggle. And instead of having a prideful, I can do it on my own, tonight I want you to leave with a thought in your head that, man, I can't do it, God can. God can heal my hurt no matter how bad it is. God can strengthen me no matter what happened to me, no matter what somebody said or did to me. God is there. He is big enough to bring calm to my life, to bring a peace, and to bring a healing.